Hello everyone, I am Shilpa Bansal from Government High School Guru Nanakpura Bathinda. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the next portion of lesson number 1 basic concepts given in your economics book. This chapter has been taken from class 10th. Students, let's start with money supply. What is money supply? It means currency and deposits of banks available with the people of the country. It is composed of two elements, that is currency with the public and demand deposits with public. Under currency with the public, we have currency notes in circulation issued by Reserve Bank of India, the number of rupee notes and coins in circulation, and third is small coins in circulation. And then under demand deposits, we have bank money, which is categorized into two things, that is demand deposits and time deposits. But before doing that, we will talk about the measures of money supply. M0 is equal to currency in circulation plus bankers' deposits with RBI plus other deposits with RBI. M1 is equal to currency with public plus demand deposits with the banking system plus other deposits with RBI. M2 is equal to M1 plus saving deposits of post office saving banks. M3 is equal to M1 plus time deposits with the banking system. M4 is equal to M3 plus all deposits with post office saving banks. Now we will talk about demand deposits and time deposits. First of all, we have demand deposits. What are the demand deposits? Demand deposits are defined as deposits payable on demand through check or otherwise. Demand deposits serve as a medium of exchange, for their ownership can be transferred from one person to another through checks and clearing arrangements provided by banks. They have no fixed term to maturity. Next is time deposit. What is the time deposit? These deposits are defined as those deposits which are not payable on demand and on which checks cannot be drawn. They have a fixed term to maturity. Now let's talk about government budget. Every government aims at maximizing the welfare of its country. All those activities require huge expenditure to be incurred. This requires appropriate planning and policy of government. The solution to all these problems is budget. Government budget is an annual statement showing item-wise estimates of receipts and expenditures during a fiscal year. What is budget? According to Professor Demock, a budget is a balanced estimate of expenditures and receipts of a given period of time. In the hands of administration, the budget is a record of past performance and a method of current control and a projection of future plans. In the Indian Constitution, a budget has been referred to as the annual financial statement of the estimated receipts and expenditures of the Government of India or of a state government in respect of a financial year. What are the types of budget? Three types of budget are there, that is surplus, deficit and balanced. Types of government budget. There are two types of budget, that is balanced budget and unbalanced budget. Under unbalanced budget, we have surplus budget and deficit budget. In the first picture, surplus budget is given, in which taxes are more than expenditure. In deficit, expenses are more, and in balanced, expenditure and revenue are equalized. In this slide, overview of three is given. Now we have to do the objectives of government budget. First is reallocation of resources. reducing inequalities in income and wealth, economic stability, and the management of public enterprises. Now we will study the sources of public revenue, taxes, fees, fines and penalties, special assessments, prize, gifts and donations, and grant in aid. Let's talk about revenue expenditures. The government incurs money on interest payments, defense revenue expenditure, subsidies, debt relief to the farmers, postal deficit, police, pensions, and other general services. Here we have deficit financing now. I am going to tell you the meaning of it. It is defined as financing the budgetary deficit through public loans and creation of new money. In India, it means the expenditure which in excess of current revenue and public borrowing. Sources of deficit financing, budget, bank borrowing, issuing new currency notes and drawing upon the past cash balances, and non-banking borrowing sources, selling of government treasury bills, short-term federal bonds, saving certificates, etc. External financing, total foreign debt. Now, sources of deficit financing by running down its accumulated cash reserve from RBI, issue of new currency by government itself, borrowing from RBI, and RBI gives the loans by printing new currency notes. What are the objectives of deficit financing? First, to finance war, remedy for depression, economic development, mobilization of resources, for granting subsidies, increase in aggregate demand, and last is for the payment of interest. Next, we will talk about public finance. What is public finance? Field of economics concerned with paying and for collective or governmental activities and with the administration and design of those activities. Essentially, what governments do and how to pay for it. Public finance is concerned with government expenditures, policy goals, and resource mobilizations, intergenerational equity. What is the definition? Adam Smith says public finance is an investigation into nature and principles of the state revenue and expenditure. According to Professor Dalton, public finance is concerned with income and expenditure of public authorities and with the mutual adjustment of one another. Now the question arises, why public finance is needed? Governments provide public goods, government financed items and services such as roads, military forces, lighthouses, and street lights. Private citizens would not voluntarily pay for these services and therefore businesses have no incentive to produce them. What is the role of public finance in an economy? First, to increase the rate of capital formation. Second, to increase the rate of economic growth. Then, to achieve optimum utilization of resources. To achieve full employment. To reduce economic inequalities. To counteract inflation. What are the sources of public revenue? The sources by which a government earns its income are classified into two categories: tax revenue and non-tax revenue, administrative revenue, commercial revenue, and other revenues. Now let's talk about what is tax. Tax are divided into two categories, that is direct and indirect tax. Direct tax means person pays tax from his own pocket, and indirect is person collects tax from customer and then pays to government. Example of direct is income tax and example of indirect tax is GST. Now, what are gifts, grants and donations? Government earns income in the form of gifts, grants and donations offered to it by the citizens, institutions and foreign governments and international institutions for different purposes. For example, grants by the international monetary institutions for rehabilitation work during the natural calamities. Now we will talk about capital expenditure. It refers to the expenditure incurred on creating permanent revenue yielding assets. It includes developmental expenditure, non developmental capital expenditure, repayment of capital debt, and last is loans and advances to other governments. We will talk about direct and indirect taxes in this slide. Direct taxes examples are income tax, capital gains tax, securities transaction tax, prerequisite tax, corporate tax, and examples of indirect tax are sales tax, service tax, custom duty, excise duty, and value added tax. Next is public debt. Sources for national debt: internal sources and external sources. Internal sources have borrowing from citizen, borrowing from financial institutions, loans for central bank, and loans from the commercial banks. External sources are international money market, currency loans from foreign government, and loans from international financial institutions. What is the meaning of debt? The structure of public debt in government. It has two types, that is central government debt and state government tax. Central government tax further categorized into internal debt, loans and advances from central government and provident funds. And then central government debts have internal debt, external debt and other liabilities. We will talk in detail about internal debt. Examples of internal debt are market loans, special bearer bonds, treasury bills, special floating and other loans, special securities issued to RBI, small savings, provident funds, and reserve funds and deposits. External debt examples are IMF, IBRD, WB, Japan, USA, UK, and France. Now, what is poverty line? Poverty line is a cut-off point on the line of distribution which usually divides the population of country as poor and non-poor. In the next slide, the poverty line picture is given in which it is shown that due to lack of education and with the absence of basic necessities and resources, how people are suffering and how miserable is their life. But what are the causes of poverty in India? Causes are overpopulation, unemployment, rural economy, low growth rate, increasing prices, underdeveloped economy, and capital deficiency. These are the causes of poverty. What is poverty line? It is the level of income to meet the minimum living conditions. It is the amount of money needed for a person to meet his basic needs. It is defined as the money value of goods and services needed to provide basic welfare to an individual. In other words, it is the line which indicates the level of purchasing power required to satisfy the minimum needs of a person. It represents the capacity to satisfy the minimum level of human needs. The line divides the people into two groups, that is above poverty line and below poverty line. And here growth rate is shown to us, and now we will discuss the growth rate. What is growth rate? The economic progress of every economy is explained by growth rate. Growth rate implies that how much percentage change took place in any economic element in comparison to particular year with any other year. Example, suppose in 1996 per capita income in India was rupees 8,000, which increased to 10,000 in 1997. The growth rate can be found by the following method. Change in per capita income in 1997 as compared to 1996, that is 10,000 minus 8,000 is equal to 2,000, and original per capita income was 8,000. So per capita income growth rate is equal to change in per capita income over original per capita income into 100 is equal to 2000 divided by 8000 into 100 is equal to 25%. Now we will talk about foreign aid. Foreign aid refers to money, food, or other resources given or lent by one country to another. Economic, technical, or military aid given by one nation to another for purposes of relief and rehabilitation for economic stabilization or for mutual defense. Now we will talk about types of foreign aid. Three types of foreign aid are there: grants, loans, and capital. Next topic is balance of payments. What is the definition of balance of payments? That is BOP. It is a systematic and summary record of a country's economic and financial transactions with the rest of the world over a period of time. Under balance of payments, we have current account and capital account. Under current account, we have visible and non-visible or invisible things. Visible things which can be seen, example, crude oil, cars, mobiles, computers, gold. And under invisible, we have services, incomes and transfers which cannot be seen. As services cannot be seen, incomes in the form of profit, interest or dividend, and transfers in the form of donations or gifts. So these are the account of current account. And now we will talk about capital account. Under capital account, we have investment, loans and banking account. And then last is balance of trade is equal to net difference between import and export. How the balance of payments is done? First of all, we need to know a deficit on the current account is balanced by a surplus on the financial account. And what is financial account? This country is using capital inflows to finance consumption of imports and investment, as it is shown that if there is deficit of 52 rupees or dollars in deficit area, then they compensate it with the help of financial account. As in current account, we trade in goods, trade in services, investment incomes and transfer payments. And under financial account, we have FDIs, bonds, savings and equities. And with the help of financial account, balance of payment is done. Now, what is current and financial account? As we have talked earlier also, this is the summary of both. Current account means all exports and imports. It also includes cross-border payments for interest, dividends, private and public transfer payments. And what is capital account? It includes inflow and outflow of payments for financial assets. Now we will talk about fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is an essential tool at the disposal of government to influence our nation's economic growth based on Keynesian economics. It is used in coordination with monetary policy. What are the objectives of fiscal policy? First is boosting employment levels and economic development, maintaining economy's growth rate, raising the standard of living, and maintaining equality in price levels and balance of payments. There are many tools and types of this policy. Under tools, we have taxation and public spending. Taxation includes taxes on income, property, sales and investments. And public spending includes subsidies, transfer payments, welfare and public work projects. Types of fiscal policy are expansionary and contractionary. Expansionary means to stimulate economic growth by increasing spending or lowering taxes or both. Under contractionary, we need to slow down the economic growth. What is fiscal deficit? We have already talked about. And now what is fiscal surplus? If the government spends less than what it earns, it creates a fiscal surplus. Now we will talk about instruments of fiscal policy. These are budget, taxation, public expenditure, and public debt. As in the last chart, monetary policy was given, we will discuss now what is monetary policy. It is a policy which helps to promote an economy into healthy one. It refers to actions of central banks take to pursue objectives such as price stability and maximum employment. And fiscal policy, we have already talked about that it deals with the government's revenue and expenditure. What are the definitions of monetary policy? According to Professor Harry Johnson, a policy employing the central bank's control of the supply of money as an instrument for achieving the objectives of general economic policy is a monetary policy. According to A.G. Hart, a policy which influences the public stock of money, substitute of public demand for such assets of both, that is, a policy which influences public liquidity position, is known as a monetary policy. Now, what are the objectives of monetary policy? First, rapid economic growth, price stability, exchange rate stability, balance of payment equilibrium, full employment, neutrality of money, equal income distribution, control business cycle, promote export and substitute imports, improvement in the standard of living, control of inflation and deflation. And what are the tools of monetary policy? Open market operation, reserve requirement, discount rate, and liquidity requirement. Now we will discuss these topics one by one. Bank rate is the interest rate at which a nation's central bank lends money to domestic banks in the form of very short term loans. Managing the bank rate is a method by which central banks affect economic activity. It is the rate at which the Reserve Bank is ready to buy and rediscount bills of exchange or other commercial papers. The bank rate is published under Section 49 of RBI Act 1934. Under bank rate, central bank advances or lends loans to domestic banks and then domestic banks lends to customers. This is the process which goes on. Three systems are there, that is central bank, commercial bank and public. Central bank decides the rate to lend to commercial banks and commercial bank decides the rate to lend to public, that is base rate. What are the qualitative instruments? The first that we have already read, that is the bank rate. It is the oldest instrument of monetary policy. And second is open market operations. These operations are the means of implementing monetary policy by which a central bank controls its national money supply by buying and selling government securities or other financial instrument. Open market operations, by these operations we mean buying and selling of securities in the open market by central bank of country. During depression, central bank purchases securities. As a result of it, there is increase in the direct and indirect cash reserved with the banks. With the increase in cash reserves, there is a multiple increase in the accumulated cash balances. As a result of it, there is credit expansion and increase in demand. During inflation, central bank sells the securities. As a result of it, the cash reserve with the banks are reduced. With the reduction in cash reserves, there is multiple decrease in the accumulated cash balances with the banks. Consequently, there is credit contraction and decrease in demand. Now, what is change in liquidity ratio? According to this method, every bank is required to keep a fixed proportion of its deposit amount in the form of cash. It is called liquidity ratio, which means banks cannot lend this money. During depression, central bank reduces this liquidity ratio. As a result of it, banks are able to provide more credit. In this way, there is credit expansion and there is increase in demand. During inflation, central bank increases the liquidity ratio. As a result, banks can give less credit to the public. Thus, there is a credit contraction. Now we will talk about rationing of credit that we have already done. Second part is margin requirements. Margin is the difference between market value of a security and its maximum loan value. Marginal requirement of loan can be increased or decreased to control the flow of chart. So these were the qualitative measures to control the monetary policy of economy. An economy can be stand straight and can be stable only with the help of fiscal policy and monetary policy. So this is all we have about the first chapter. In the next lecture, we will talk about the question answers of it. Thank you. Have a great day.